In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at guides, grids, and snapping. So make sure that you create a new section and then click on your drawing layer before you begin. And we're going to show one of the typical problems with Flash. I'm going to click and drag a rectangle that goes over the bottom edge of my drawing. And you'll notice now that I can't see the edge of my drawing anymore. I really don't know how close this is to the edge because I can't see it. Of course, if I'm zoomed in really far like this, I will have absolutely no idea where that object is relative to the edge of my particular design. So it's very, very important that we turn on the ability to see guides and have guides on every file that we do in Flash. So in order to do this, let's go to Grid and choose Show Grid. And I do that by right-clicking, and then it brings up the dialog box. Then we go to Show Grid, and I'm going to right-click, go back to it, and go to Edit Grid. The reason why is because we've got the show grid right here, but if you notice, this grid is 18 points, and that doesn't really work evenly into 650 by 400. So we need to put in a number that is even, so I'll use 25 for right now, and I'll click on the Snap to Grid. I'll choose Snap to Grid, and I'm going to choose OK now. In order to draw a guide, we click and drag on the ruler on the left-hand side or the top. And if you can't see that, make sure that you have rulers visible by right-clicking somewhere on your stage and choosing rulers. And you'll see that it snapped right to that edge. And let's make sure that we snap guides to each edge that we have on our drawing. Now, if I look really carefully, you'll notice that I was actually 1 pixel off when I moved that background. So that's a really easy thing to fix. Just unlock the layer for the background, click on it, and then make it come down to fit the exact spot it should be. Then lock it back, and we'll go back to our drawing layer, and you'll see we fixed that background. I can zoom out with Control minus, go over to the other side, and see that that's fixed. So having a guide on here and snapping to it can be kind of nice, but of course it can be kind of limiting. It can be nice when we're drawing because when we draw with the snap, we're making sure that we get exactly what we want. Well, what if we want to get really, really close? Now, one of the things that we can do is, of course, we can edit our grid to make it much finer, like 10 pixels by 10 pixels. And that, of course, makes a much finer grid so that we can be much more accurate about certain things. We can also go all the way down to the level of snapping to pixels. So I'm going to zoom in even a little bit more, and you'll see that the closer I get in, the closer I can see all of these actual individual little pixels here, which is kind of interesting. I'm going to go ahead and take off the stroke for my particular box, and you'll see how accurate this is. So now I'm going to choose a different color. Whoops, let me click off of it, choose a different color, and now I'm going to draw a box on the inside, and that's left me a white pixel border, or sorry, a 1 pixel border around that object, which means that I can draw very, very accurately in Flash by using a snap to pixel and zooming in like I am. As soon as I zoom out, you'll see that I can go back to snapping to the regular guide that I have here. You're going to have to manage between the two, zooming in, zooming out. We might need to take off the snapping to pixel so that we can see the original guide. Have that snap to it. You can see it can be a little troubling at times. There we go. I got that to work exactly now. Now I can go to my transform tool and make that snap to that corner. The problem with this now is that if I look at this really closely, turn on that right click, turn on snap to pixels, you'll see that this isn't necessarily perfectly fitting pixels anymore. So that's where I have to know how to adjust things with the free transform. And using those exact pixels, you can see I can get that adjusted right back to where it really should be. So I like the snapping to pixels because of how accurate it is. Play around with it a little bit, save your work, and go on to the next.